At the same time as Thomas Edison, the famous inventor of the 20th century, there was also a genius who brought many scientific achievements that greatly influenced humanity in the 21st century. That was the scientist Nikola Tesla. In addition, he is also a great prophet with many accurate predictions, especially his prophecies about the present day. Tesla says that, in most areas of the moon, stars outside the solar system are very difficult to see, even with astronomical telescopes. Not even the Milky Way can be seen. What is the truth behind that even NASA has to hide? Because of his eccentric personality and unbelievably strange statements about the development prospects of science and technology at the time, Tesla was often isolated and considered a mad scientist. But in fact, Nikola Tesla is a great inventor. Not only that, but he is also remembered for his incredible prophetic powers. He accurately predicted the time, place, and end of World War I and World War II. Even more amazing is that he also predicted the sinking of the Great Titanic, and tried to dissuade financial magnate Morgan not to board the Titanic, the ship that the tycoon invested a large amount of money to build. Although the ship's maiden voyage drew the world's attention, Morgan unexpectedly decided not to set sail with the Titanic, because he truly believed in Tesla's prediction. And Morgan was lucky to escape. In fact, genius Nikola Tesla made many predictions about the future before his death. But there is one of his prophecies that is the most unbelievable, the most rarely mentioned, for the simple reason that it is very hard to believe. Surprisingly, this prophecy was confirmed by the first astronauts to land on the moon. But do not know why the testimonies of these astronauts were concealed by the US Space Agency? Scientists' prophecy. Tesla predicted that the solar system has a protective shield called the heliosphere, which rotates to resonate and amplify, protecting the objects inside the solar system from cosmic rays. In addition, Tesla also predicts that the focal point of the solar system's crust will be found at the South Pole or the North Pole. A visible focus of stars in the sky is greatly reduced. This point is called the dead spot. Another focal point where the stars can be seen in the sky are greatly increased. This point is called the living point. Currently, experimental scientists have put the focal length of the solar system's crust on the top secret list. This point is also known as the focal point of the wormhole. When it comes to wormholes, surely everyone is not too strange. Simply put, wormholes can be used for instantaneous space travel, or time travel. It is the portal of time and space. People may find it strange, because these two Tesla prophecies seem to be nothing too special. Why should NASA be so worried? Attestation of scientific studies. July 20, 1969 is a milestone in human history. The Apollo 11 spacecraft completed the first manned spaceflight to the moon. At 2017 local time on the same day, Commander Neil Armstrong and cosmonaut Buzz Aldrin formed a crew to fly to the moon. Neil Armstrong famously said, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." 6 hours 39 minutes later, at 2:56 p.m. on July 21, Armstrong became the first person to step on the surface of the moon. 19 minutes later Aldrin also landed. Two people planted the American flag on the moon and collected 21.55 kilograms of lava samples here. The entire time they worked on the lunar surface lasted for 135 minutes, or 2 hours and 15 minutes, but their stay on the moon was 21 hours and 36 minutes. While the two worked on the lunar surface, Michael Collins, another astronaut who flew the command module alone, flew around the moon. A strange thing happened that after these astronauts returned to Earth, they all began to devote all their energies to learning about spiritual cultivation. The people who once believed in science suddenly changed, all believed in God and actively spread the gospel. Especially Armstrong, he willingly returned to the remote countryside to serve in a small church. What is the reason that can completely change the scientific elites who have such absolute faith in this science? When Armstrong and his team landed on the moon and returned to Earth, they reported to NASA an amazing phenomenon. That's when they were on the moon, looking up into space but not seeing a star, just a pitch-black darkness. This made the astronauts feel extremely shocked and strange. Why is it that after setting foot on the moon, changing the perspective, all those immense stars disappear? Could it be that the twinkling stars that we see in the sky from the Earth are all fake, imaginary? The US military immediately listed the contents of this report as top secret, placing them on a secret education course. At the same time the military began to mobilize all its manpower to plan to explore the crust of the solar system. In 1972, a series of missions to the outer shell of the solar system were launched. At the same time, Apollo's mission to the moon also ended here. But after completing the final moon landing and returning to Earth, astronaut Armstrong, in addition to becoming a Catholic priest, he also suffered from depression. He started doing psychological treatment because he couldn't accept that NASA covered up the truth. Armstrong argued that NASA should not deceive people around the world. However, as the National Space Agency, NASA naturally has its own considerations. They consider it inappropriate to disclose to the world what the astronauts have seen, when there is no evidence and all is known. Because they also think it's really unbelievable. Even so, NASA still dimly felt that something was really wrong. Because astronauts would never lie. Therefore, NASA immediately embarked on a plan to explore the crust of the solar system. In March 1972, NASA launched the Pioneer 10 probe. In April 1973, NASA continued to launch the Pioneer 11 probe. After the two probes flew by respectively to explore Jupiter and Saturn, they flew out of the solar system. In 1977, NASA continued to launch Voyager 1 and 2 probes with the same purpose as when launching Pioneer. The first unmanned spacecraft launched by NASA in 2005 confirmed that the protective circle of the solar system has about 5 layers, each layer at least 9 billion kilometers thick. Going from 3 billion to 10 billion kilometer, all matter can suddenly enter an unknown orbit and decelerate suddenly. When it reaches 20 billion kilometers, everything will suddenly start to slow down until it is destroyed. The Pioneer 10 probe was launched in 1972. It was after arriving here, from a speed of 10 kilometers per second, it quickly dropped to 10 meters per second and then was destroyed. The Earth is in focus of a supermassive telescope lens. Normally, humans can see the Milky Way and the stars at night using telescopes on Earth. But when the spacecraft flew away from Earth over 12 billion kilometers, when looking outside the solar system, it turned out to be pitch black. Not only that, from 12 billion kilometers looking into the solar system, not even the sun can be seen. This is because the sun's rays cannot reach that place. From the center of the solar system to a distance of 3 billion and 10 billion kilometers is a very special region. At a distance of 12 to 25 billion kilometers, the solar wind appears there. It is like an eggshell that envelops the solar system. The thickness of this crust is 7 billion kilometers. The amazing thing is that this crust of the solar system resembles a supermassive telescope lens. Man's Earth happens to be in it, and through this lens things outside the solar system can be seen, such as the Milky Way, other galaxies and nebulae, and more. Everyone who uses lenses already knows that if they want to see distant blurry objects, focus needs to be adjusted. The space scene is then reflected by the lens of the solar system's crust. How far is the distance to the solar system? The focal length is different. As the Earth moves, the scene outside the solar system as seen through this lens varies depending on the location. There is a point that positivist scientists are beginning to assert. That is, everything from outside the solar system needs to pass through a wormhole to enter the 12 billion kilometer region of the solar system. And it takes a solar system crust telescope for us to see the outer space. This means that the Earth where humans live is essentially meticulously designed, rather than naturally formed planets or evolved celestial bodies. Some would say it's a big scam. But what Armstrong and his team of astronauts saw on the moon made them realize immediately, the solar system is made and the Earth is just an experiment. Imagine if you were Armstrong, after setting foot on the moon, and seeing the truth in space, maybe even meeting an angel on a spaceship, what would you do? When you return to Earth, what will you do? To put it another way, through scientific findings and proven fact, is it confirming that the legends about the Creator that existed in all ancient civilizations are true? For example, ancient civilizations such as ancient Egypt, Babylon, ancient India, ancient China, and also ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Persia, Norse mythology, Japanese mythology, and more. There are legends and poetry about the Creator. Although the names of the gods of creation differ, the creation process roughly coincides. Is all of this random or natural? If the solar system was built, and the Earth is the test site, what is this experiment about? What do you think about this point of view? Please leave a comment below. For now, bye and see you soon.